Right. All right. So welcome everybody. We have Lisa Roach and Amy Crone, who are also on the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau team that are here to talk all things nutrition benefits and get everyone up to date on what's new. Could you go next slide there, Lisa? All right, so this is our agenda for today. If you can make sure you're on mute. Oh, I think with this webinar, it might ought to be automatic. And if you have any questions, you can post them and we'll answer them at the end. But we'll go through some introductions, hear a little bit about the co-host organizations, and then our team will Lisa will dive into the MarketLink grant, as well as trends, which she'll share with Amy or Heather. And then we'll share some resources and open up for Q&A at the end. And Sadie or Beth, would you like to just speak a little bit about the CSA?
Yes, thank you for including us in this webinar. I'm happy to speak about our innovation network. I'm Sadie Willis, the network manager for the national group known as the CSA Innovation Network. We are a network that is hosted through the organization Fair Share CSA Coalition, which is where Beth and I both work. So that's sort of why you see both of the logos up on the screen. Fair Share, in association with other groups, started the CSA Innovation Network several years ago to create resources centered on community-supported agriculture for local farms all across the nation. And we run a CSA Week campaign in mid-February each year. So that is the biggest push for getting people to sign up for CSA farms as members for the upcoming season each spring. In general, we also provide education and support around farm marketing and technology, software solutions for CSA farms, and lots more. So nutrition benefit technologies are definitely something that we also try to educate our CSA farmers all across the country about. And we also perform research on consumer preferences, nutrition, and e-commerce options for CSA farms, among other topics. I did want to plug, we have another webinar coming up in about a month. It is through our CSA Ideas Lab series, which is our regular educational webinar series that the network manages. This one is going to be about bringing SNAP online for direct-to-consumer farmers, specifically with a CSA focus, but anyone who sells direct-to-consumer and is interested in learning how to get an online store setup that accepts SNAP can tune in at 1:30 p.m. on Tuesday, September 29th. That's Central Time. So I'll drop the link to that soon. And we also have a resource library with lots of toolkits and other resources available on our website. So check it out and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thanks again for including us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And now I'll turn over to you, Lisa. And thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Brianna and Sadie, for your time and introductions. My name is Lisa. As Brianna said, I am the Regional Specialist Manager for MarketLink. My team and myself help farms and farmers markets through the SNAP EBT process. So yeah, I'm excited to share with you all about the work that we do and how we can hopefully all help you out through these programs. To start us off, I'm going to give a little background about our program and who we are. So this is a little history about MarketLink. We were originally founded in 2013 as a program of the National Association of Farmers Market Nutrition Programs. We were originally funded by a USDA grant to specifically help farms and farmers markets accept SNAP EBT. From our founding up until 2024, we were partnered with a company called Novadia Group that developed the Total Pay equipment. This equipment was and still is the equipment provided through our grants for farmers and farmers markets to process SNAP EBT. Bringing us to current MarketLink, in 2025, we became independent by forming a new nonprofit called the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau, or FFAB for short. FFAB was created with the mission of simplifying financial transactions and improving access to all federal nutrition benefit programs. Through this transition, NoVidea Group donated the technology for Total Pay Go to the Farmers Food Assistance Bureau and has since dissolved as a company. But this transition has given us a lot more freedom to update and improve the Total Pay technology so that it can work best for farms and farmers markets. But even with that transition, we are still funded by grants from the USDA, which covers supporting our SNAP equipment for in-person transactions, as well as SNAP Online for SNAP Online transactions. Our SNAP equipment funding provides equipment through Total Pay Go, as I mentioned, and our SNAP Online funding covers the online processing fees with our partnerships through the e-commerce provider Grown By and through the payment processor WorldPay FIS. All right, so the first main topic I'm going to get into today is taking a deeper look at the grants and services I just started with. So to start us off, here's an overview of all our active projects, and I'll go into more detail on each of them. The first is our SNAP equipment grant, which is available nationwide and is available for both farms and farmers markets. The next is our SNAP Online grant, which is also available nationwide, but only available to farmers. Lastly, MarketLink is also working with various states to help with the rollout of electronic options for WIC, senior FMMP, and incentives through what is called our TIM system. We currently have an eWIC program in Indiana, but are actively working to partner with more states. Amy will be going into more detail on this later in the presentation. So I'll start off with more details on our SNAP equipment grant and how we help farms and farmers markets accept SNAP EBT in person. And first, let's start with an overview of the basic steps of the process. So step one is an interested farm or farmers market would complete the eligibility assessment on our website. This is mainly to determine if they are eligible for the grants, but it also gets them connected to a regional specialist, such as myself or my wonderful colleagues, that will walk them through each step of the process. Step two is if they have not done so already, the next step is to become SNAP authorized with the USDA, and they can either do that on their own or with our help. Step three is to get set up with a Total Pay Go account using the application that we provide. And step four, their card reader ships and they will be ready to accept SNAP. So we'll now take a look at the eligibility requirements for the SNAP equipment grant. The main requirement of eligibility is their business type and whether or not they have utilized this grant program already. So the business types that are eligible are direct marketing farmers and farmers markets based on USDA definitions. The USDA defines a farmers market, a direct marketing farmer as an individual producer of agricultural products that sell directly to the public. This also means that at least 50% of their total retail sales must come from products they grew or raised themselves versus buying from other suppliers. The USDA defines a farmer's market as two or more agricultural producers, meaning farmers, selling their own agricultural products directly to the public at a fixed location. So businesses that would not be eligible would be, of course, any of those that do not meet those definitions, or any farm or farmers market that has utilized this grant program during this grant program. Grant period, meaning after October 2025. The reason for this is because we can only provide one equipment setup per business per grant period. But if anyone is ever unsure if they qualify, we always invite them to reach out to us and we can talk to them, answer their questions, and help them determine if they're eligible before applying if they'd like. So next we'll look at the specific of what the grant covers. First is one-on-one assistance through the SNAP application process. Next is a free SNAP EBT card reader and a 1-year subscription to the Total Pay Go app. Next is our printer waiver, which refers to a waiver that is specific to our grant. That means anyone using the equipment that we provide is not required to provide printed receipts, which SNAP retailers usually are required to do so. The Total Pay Go app has the option to provide a text or emailed receipt instead. So this saves money on needing to buy a printer and printer paper. If a business gets equipment through our grant, we can help guide them through the setup. And then lastly, of course, we're here to answer any questions regarding the SNAP program. Regardless of eligibility, we can generally point folks in the right direction. So as I mentioned, we offer one-on-one assistance through the SNAP application for eligible farms and farmers markets. And I'll now cover the two options on how we provide support. The first option is an applicant can choose to fill out the application on their own. So what this looks like is they would create their own USDA login, submit the application, and the supporting documents on their own. We provide them with an instructional guide that walks them through each step of the process, question by question. The guides, of course, also have our contact information. So if they ever get stuck or need help, they can reach out to us with questions. The second option is to have a MarketLink representative submit the application on their behalf. So this means we would book a phone call with them, gather all their application information. We would then submit it, upload their supporting documents on their behalf. And the main benefit of this option is that, of course, it allows us to double check the application before sending it in, but also keep an eye on it as it moves through the process. To close out our SNAP equipment grant section, here's a deeper look at the Total Pay Go equipment we provide. So as I mentioned, we provide a 1-year subscription to an app called Total Pay Go that is to be downloaded on the business's own smart device. And then we provide a Bluetooth card reader that is free and theirs to keep. During the first year, the subscription of the Total Pay Go app is covered. And while using Total Pay Go, there are no transaction fees for SNAP EBT. Our grant also includes an incentive where if a business does more than $500 a year in SNAP sales, we will cover the next year. And we hope to offer this incentive as long as we have grant funding. If a business did not do $500 in SNAP sales, but wants to keep using the Total Pay Go app, after the grant year is covered, the cost is $191 a year or $19.95 a month for businesses that are opening seasonally. But even if they were to pay for the subscription, the business would still have no transaction fees for SNAP EBT, and the card reader is, again, theirs to keep. They would not need to send it back. So next, I'll talk about the SNAP Online Grant and how we help direct marketing farmers accept SNAP through an online store. Again, starting off with an overview of the process. The basic steps are actually very similar to the SNAP Equipment Grant. Interested farmers would apply on our website, where they can actually apply for both the SNAP Equipment Grant and Online Grant at the same time. After they've applied for MarketLink, the next step is to get regular SNAP authorization if they have not done so already. While they're waiting for SNAP authorization, if they have not done so already, the next step is to create a Grown By account and set up their inventory. Once their Grown By account is set up and they have SNAP authorization, the fourth step is to apply for SNAP Online authorization, which is actually separate from regular authorization. But again, they will be assigned to a MarketLink regional specialist who will walk them through this process. And lastly, their online store gets tested by the USDA and Grown By to make sure everything is working properly. And if everything tests okay, they are officially SNAP Online authorized, and their online store goes live, and they can accept SNAP payments online. Again, our eligibility assessment is to determine if the business is eligible. And at this time, only direct marketing farmers are eligible for the SNAP Online program. If there are interested farmers markets wanting to know more or already are starting an online farmers market, we again can talk to them and answer their questions about how a SNAP Online model could work for them, but unfortunately they would not be eligible for the grant. But for approved farmers, similar to the SNAP Equipment Grant, the grant covers assistance through the SNAP Online authorization process, a 1-year paid subscription to Grown By and PIN service solutions through WorldPay, technical assistance and training, and answering any questions about the program. All right, so moving on, we'll get into the main topic of our presentation today, trends and changes to the SNAP and other nutrition benefit programs that affect farms and farmers markets and how we can potentially help. And we'll start off with SNAP application and authorization process changes. So the first main update to the SNAP authorization process is the SNAP stocking requirements. So to start off with a review of what these are, stocking requirements refer to the inventory needed to be sold by a farm or farmer's market to participate in the SNAP program. Basically, what this is looking for is that they sell enough of what's called staple foods to participate. So staple foods are fruits and vegetables, meat, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy products, milk, cheese, yogurt, including vegan milks, and then lastly, breads, grains, and cereals. A business can meet these requirements by falling either into criteria A or criteria B, which I'll cover in the next slides. So starting with criteria A, to meet criteria A, currently a business needs to sell at least 3 varieties of stocking units in each of the different staple food categories. A variety means a broad type of a food sold. So for example, apples is one variety, but Fuji, Granny Smith, Pink Lady are not individual varieties. It all just counts as apple. A stocking unit means how that item is sold. So this means individually, by the pound, in a bag, box, or package. Which brings us to the update. So as I mentioned, currently businesses only need to sell 3 varieties in each staple food category. But the USDA has recently announced that they are updating this criteria from 3 to 7 types in each category, which will go into effect fall of this year, I believe, November to be specific. But we are hoping that this will not affect farmers, but it may affect some farmers' markets depending on their vendor makeup. Which brings us to the second way a business can qualify is through criteria B. So criteria B is more about sales. And to qualify, a business needs to simply sell more than 50% of their total retail sales in any of the staple food categories. So direct marketing farmers usually meet this category no problem, especially fruits and vegetable farmers easily sell more than 50% of one of the staple foods, which is produce. But a lot of farmers markets qualify this way as well if they have a lot of farmer vendors available. So as far as we know, criteria B is not changing. This is why you'll notice in the memo, it says specialty stores are exempt from this. Usually specialty stores meet criteria B. So our next update is to the SNAP application process. The first major trend we've noticed is that SNAP applications are requiring more documents to verify the owner or manager of a business. To do this, they're requesting things like articles of incorporation or an updated annual statement for the business. They are also requiring more documents to verify business type. So for farmers, this may be things like an FSA farm track number or a land use verification. For farmers markets, this may be an operating permit. In addition to more required documents, we've also noticed that after submitting an application, requests for additional information are unfortunately becoming more common. To keep up with these updates, we've been monitoring the situation very closely, and we keep our SNAP application guides up to date. We recently converted them to a Google Doc instead of a stationary PDF, so we update them as needed. And anytime someone clicks on the link, it will take you to the most updated version. But again, of course, we're here to answer any questions. So if anyone is in the process, interested in the process, we can help walk them through any document requests that they get. And another change we've noticed that unfortunately the USDA has lost staff due to staff cuts and employees leaving voluntarily. This means the SNAP applications are taking a lot longer than they used to. To help with this, we recommend applying during someone's off season or slow season and giving yourself about 1 to 3 months of processing time. So this also unfortunately includes some of the program specialists have also left. And how this affects farms and farmers markets is the person who originally approved their SNAP application may no longer be working there. This can be difficult because this is who we recommend reaching out to when a business needs to update their information post-authorization. This means more folks are needing to call the SNAP Retailer Service Center instead. And on the note of the SNAP Retailer Service Center, we've heard that this call center can have very long hold times. We recommend trying to call when they open or when they close for a better chance of getting through. But we've actually recently been testing out a couple emails. So we're trying to find some emails that are reliable so that folks will not need to keep calling this call center. But in the meantime, it's unfortunately the best way still to get through to the USDA. Our next trend is that site visits are becoming more common. A site visit is an in-person inspection done by a USDA contracted representative from a company called Manhattan Strategy Group. The purpose of these visits is to verify a business meets the requirements to participate in the SNAP program. It's also important to note these are separate from random secret shopper audits that the USDA also holds the right to perform. So when do site visits happen? They can happen at various times depending on the business type. The first time it may happen is during the initial SNAP authorization. For farmers, fortunately, this is less common, but more common if they run a unique farming type, such as a hydroponic farm, a microgreen farm, or a mushroom farm. For farmers markets, unfortunately, these are becoming more common during the SNAP authorization process. So they can also happen during the reauthorization process, which I'll cover in just a bit. But again, even with reauthorization, that's more common for farmers markets. And then we've also heard that they've just been randomly happening at farmers markets. Site visits are typically unannounced. Because of this, we always recommend a business keep their contact information and hours of operation up to date with the USDA. So what happens during a site visit? As I mentioned, the USDA will send a contracted representative out from Manhattan Strategy Group. They will have a letter from the USDA Food and Nutrition Administration with an explanation of their visit, which a representative from the business will need to sign and list the business's F&S number for them to continue. There's an example of what that letter looks like here on the slide. They will then tour the farm or farmer's market, take notes, and take photos. The purpose of this tour is to verify inventory and ensure that the business meets the stocking requirements to participate in the program that I covered earlier. They will also be reviewing signage to ensure the business has the SNAP fraud poster posted, also shown here on the slide. They may also ask about training materials and how the staff is trained on the SNAP program. Lastly, for farmers markets, they will ask how the program is implemented, meaning if you use token or script. And similar to the SNAP application updates, we've been following this very closely as well and created a specific guide that we are happy to share with anyone to help prepare folks for these visits. As I mentioned, our next trend is reauthorization. These requests are also becoming more common. So reauthorization is the process a business must go through to recertify their SNAP authorization. Once a business is SNAP approved, their authorization is usually good for 5 years. Around that time, the USDA will contact them at the contact information they have on file with instructions on how to reauthorize. So they typically do this every 5 years, but they technically have the right to send reauthorization letter out at any time and have been exercising this right more often. Our recommendation, again here, is to make sure the contact information is up to date so that you do not miss the reauthorization notice. If a reauthorization notice is missed, business would need to reapply. Similar to the SNAP authorization updates and the site visits, we also created a specific guide to walk folks through reauthorization, and again are here to assist with this process as well if anyone is going through it. And our last unfortunate update, starting to depress me, is that the USDA refers to the USDA's non-redeemer list. The non-redeemer list is a list the USDA maintains of businesses that have not authorized, done any SNAP payments in a while. They used to run this list about once per year, but unfortunately they appear to be running them more often. Some businesses are getting these notices if they don't process transactions even for 1 month. If a business is selected, they notify them by letter and give them about 30 days to reply. If a notice is not replied to, they have the right to pull that business's SNAP authorization. Our recommendation here, again, is to make sure businesses keep their contact information up to date, and of course, process SNAP transactions as often as possible. Right. So our last SNAP-related trend, that will hopefully end on a little higher note, is the trend towards SNAP redemption models at farms and farmers markets, moving to a decentralized model. So I'll cover what those mean and how we can help in the next few slides. So to start us off, let's review how SNAP is currently accepted. Once a business is approved for SNAP, how they accept SNAP depends on their business type. Farmers markets are limited to one location during the business hours that they are open. They also have to have a distribution and redemption system to administer benefits that I'll cover in the next couple slides. Direct marketing farmers, however, are not limited to one location and are able to accept SNAP wherever they sell at, whether that be at their farmers market booth, farm stand, at a CSA pickup spot, or even through delivery. So as I mentioned, farmers markets can choose how they'd like to implement their program. And the first way to do so is called the market level system. So what this looks like is they have one set of equipment at a central place, most often the information booth. From there, benefits are administered in the form of tokens or paper script. Customers then spend those tokens at the vendors who have SNAP eligible items. And then the vendors return those tokens to the farmers market manager to be reimbursed. The second way a market can implement the SNAP program is through what's called the vendor level system. So instead of accepting SNAP at a central information booth, the farmers market manager can instead decide they want to encourage the farmers to get authorized on their own through the vendor level system. So this means each farmer would have their own SNAP authorization and equipment and would simply accept the SNAP cards at their booths like any other payment. Okay, so now that we've talked about both models, we'll review the trend towards the vendor model. Amy, did you want to do this? I can keep going.
Sure. No, I can chime in a little bit, but can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll chime in for a little bit, but and then I'll probably hand it back over to you or Heather shortly because I can't see the screen anymore. So, but just to talk a little bit about sorry, everyone on the call. This is Amy Crone. I am the COO of FAB and have been working on the MarketLink project since it started back in 2013. And I am having technical difficulties today. So I've been kicked out of the webinar, I think 3 times. So we'll see if I can share a little bit of information. And then, of course, my wonderful colleagues are also online too. Just to briefly touch base, though, on the FNA's shift towards having a vendor-centric model. To be very clear, this is not an official policy change. There has been nothing issued in terms of directives from FNA with regards to this. It's just that we have seen in the past several years their guiding language shift away from market-centric models and more towards for a number of reasons. Oh, there, yay, I can see again. Maybe it just took a while for the slides to come up. I'm not going to touch anything, but I'll keep talking. So as we have in the slide here, there's now that the MarketLink grant exists and other point of sale offerings are at a much lower cost than they used to be. It's much easier for farmers to be able to obtain them at a reasonable cost. And then with the MarketLink program, we can provide technical assistance to help them get approved. So the SNAP retailer authorization process is, I don't know, I can't say it's less onerous, but we can guide folks through it a little more streamlined that way. And then of course, the liability that script poses for many of you, I'm sure, on the call when script is issued, that's essentially your funding out in the wild. So until that comes back and is redeemed, then that's a liability for your organization. Whereas with the direct one-to-one transaction between the farmer and the participant, the funds go directly from the SNAP's participant account to the farmer's account. So it reduces administration at the market level in terms of all of those pieces, specifically regarding script and paying out vendors on a weekly or biweekly or whatever basis you all agreed upon with your vendors. And then there are a few drawbacks, though, to having the vendor level model, as I'm sure many of you are also very aware of. It is more for the farmers to handle on their own, rather than being able to hand things over to the farmers market manager. It will become more difficult for non-SNAP retailer eligible vendors to be able to participate in these models. As the example here is listed, honey vendors, we've seen this a lot, or bakers or others that wouldn't necessarily be approved on their own. Their business wouldn't be approved on their own as a SNAP authorized retailer. And then navigating incentives is the last challenge with regards to the vendor level model. There are some options, and we'll be talking about the TIM system in a little bit, but that's kind of a brief overview of the shift towards the vendor level model. And I look to my colleagues to see if there's anything I left out, or if we're good to go to the next.
I think I would just add the trend towards electronic payments overall, more eWIC, FMP, is difficult for farmers markets to implement on a market-wide level, and easier for a farmer to accept cards directly, which TotalPay, yeah, good segue to Tim's, can accept.
Yes, exactly. And actually, that's a great point. So mentioned with programs doing electronic, and some programming with programs enabling farmers to be authorized vendors, that is now an electronic process as well. So to Lisa's point, a lot of the program direction would like to see more of the farmers adopt the electronic means of processing transactions rather than having lots of paper or script out in the world. And so that's a great segue to years ago, closer to 2019, we worked at that time with Novia Group, build out which is called the Incentive Management System, created at TIM, and it is a fully electronic program that is fully customizable. We built it so that there are lots of different options for anyone that wants to use it. And then
Did we lose Amy?
I think we did.
Yeah. Heather, are you here?
I am here.
I think we can maybe together take over. So yeah, this is the TIM system. It it is a way to
I'm
accept.
back.
You're back.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Okay, go ahead, Amy.
So sorry, everybody. I will try and talk quickly before I get cut off again by my bad connection. So TIMS is an electronic payment system. It's a closed loop system such that an organization can fund a program and then also pay their merchants using this technology. So it was originally designed for farmers market nutrition programs. We saw that the banks were not interested in providing checks for those programs anymore. So we developed this technology so that a farmers market nutrition program could offer an electronic benefit. And it is redeemed via a QR code. That's the image that you see on the screen. That is the customer app. So we have the TotalPay Go app for the farmer, and then the My MarketLink app for the customer. So the organization offering the benefit loads the benefits into their customers' accounts. Then the customers will be able to open their My MarketLink app, see that they have a balance. And then when they're ready to purchase something from the farmer, they show them that QR code in their app. The farmer scans it with their TotalPay Go app, and that is the closed loop of the transaction process for TIMS. Next slide, please. The TIM system has a couple of different components. This is just a visual of this system as a whole. You'll see at the top, there is a web portal that you can do all of your program management through with a nice dashboard that shows you how much funding you have, how much you've issued, how much has been redeemed, who has redeemed it in terms of your participants, and then which farmers have been able to have purchases occur through the system. So there on the right, you see the merchants using the Total Pay Go app are connected, as I mentioned. The recipients and participants use the MarketLink app, and then the gateway settles it all such that the funds are deposited for those transactions on the same timing as the Total Pay Go transactions, assuming that's what the program sets up. Again, this is completely customizable. So if you want your vendors to be paid every 2 weeks, then we can set that up. If you want them to be paid on the standard 1 to 3 business days, then we can set that up. Next slide, please. This is a graphic that we will simplify, but this was an original graphic from Novidia Group as to the entire TIMS process. In essence, the way I like to think about it is that there are a couple of things that can happen in parallel, and then once everything is finished, then the transactions will go through. So the initial step is to set up your actual TIMS portal. That's where you set the business rules for your program. You know, some places match 1 for 1, some match 1 for 2. We have an ability to have an earn to spend. Nope, vice versa, to earn capabilities such that if your participants use their SNAP card, they can earn whatever the match is set up for your particular program. So you have the portal and the administrative piece of it that you set up, and then the 2 parallel processes are signing up the participants and signing up the merchants. So once all of your merchants are in the program, then the participants that are enrolling in the program can utilize their benefits with those participating vendors. And then, as I mentioned already, there's a great dashboard with all of the pieces of the puzzle that you might want to check on a daily basis or whatever your cadence is. There's also a reporting capability where you can download essentially any of these pieces of data that I've been talking about: transactions, merchants, recipients, locations. If you have multiple locations in the system, all of that you can download and then kind of slice and dice the data as you need. We built it in hopes that for many of you that are utilizing grants to manage these programs, that you can get all of the information you need from the portal, and you don't have to do a whole lot of searching for all the different pieces of the reporting that you might need for your particular grant. Next slide, please. And then we touched on this already a little bit, but the growth of eWIC is the next kind of horizon that we've been working very hard to ensure that it's accepted across the country. As I alluded to earlier, some states have not authorized farmers to participate in the eWIC program, but all states are mandated to shift their programs to an electronic format. Some are further ahead in this than others, but the original mandate was 2020, and some of them aren't. I don't think are completely transitioned yet, but if you are in a state where there is an electronic WIC program and they do not have farmers as authorized vendors, that is absolutely the place to start advocating, talking with your WIC agency, which is normally the health department in any given state, and then also your local representatives to ask them to add farmers as approved merchants that can accept eWIC. Total Pay Go can accept eWIC across the country in those states where it is, they have enabled farmers to accept it. And we continue to test that and make sure that it runs seamlessly across the country. For those of you that may not be as familiar with WIC, it's a little bit different than SNAP. In the state level is the serving agency. So what that translates to in terms of transactions on our side is, for example, one state's farmers may have a 4-digit vendor number, and then another state's farmers may have an 8-digit vendor number. So every time an eWIC program comes online, we do a bunch of testing to make sure we have all of those pieces in place so that the transactions will go through smoothly. Next slide, please.
Thank you, Amy.
Already read? Yes, thank you. I'm going to drop, but as I said, and sorry if I was breaking up a little bit, but thank you all very much for joining. We really appreciate your interest and your time in this. And Heather and Lisa and Brianna will be here to answer any questions throughout. Thank you all so much for your time. Take care.
So yeah, we'll end the webinar today with reviewing our resources that can hopefully, again, just make everything we cover just not feel so intimidating. And actually, on that note, before we get to the resources, I just wanted to quickly say, I know I've covered a lot of discouraging updates, especially when it comes to the SNAP application process, but I wanted to take a moment to just remind us all that this program is still absolutely worth it and still has a ton of benefits to businesses and communities. I think we have 115 people who showed up today, so the fact that you all showed up shows how many folks are still dedicated to promoting food access and helping vulnerable communities. And additionally, again, like I said, we're all still here. We're all still here to help, which is a good transition into our resources. So starting with just reviewing ours, the ones that I mentioned today are Direct Marketing Farmer and Farmers Market SNAP Application Guide, the Site Visit Guide, and the Reauthorization Guide, and then of course our grants for SNAP equipment and SNAP Online. Our lovely co-host supporter Farmers Market Coalition also has a lot of resources listed on their website, specifically evaluation resources. And I highly recommend their email listserv, which is utilized, I think, on a daily basis where anyone who's on it can reach out and ask questions and get peer support from their community. I'm not sure if Dara is here, if she wants to add anything that I missed on there, but while we look for her, Sadie, do you want to add anything? I basically just reiterated the ones that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, thanks for including these again. And I did answer one of the questions that had asked about CSA SNAP eligibility with the link to our upcoming webinar. So if anybody wants to find that registration link, just scroll through the Q&A section and you can find where to sign up for it in September. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. And then just a couple other I wanted to point out. I mentioned a lot of like updates to the USDA. These are all listed on the USDA website. They also have the training materials and training expectations. These help folks prepare for a site visit and reauthorization if they need to. And then a couple other great resources that we reference often from other nonprofits. First is the Center for Agricultural Food Systems, Farmers Market Legal Toolkit. And for folks running an incentive program, of course, the Nutrition Incentive Hub is an amazing resource and place to visit. All right, so that is all from me. It looks like we have about 15 minutes for questions. So I believe with this webinar feature, like Rihanna mentioned, is a little new to us, but I believe it has a Q&A feature, so we can get to those.
Yeah, Lisa, there have been a bunch of questions. Right now we have 23 answered so far. There also were some comments, and now we have 9 open questions. The first one, Chris is asking you, Lisa, are you seeing a trend towards delays in renewing SNAP authorizations for farmers markets?
That reauthorizations are also taking a while. Yes, unfortunately. And the even more frustrating thing about reauthorization, when you go through the reauthorization process, submit all your information, you are not guaranteed a notice back saying that you're reauthorized. But as long as your SNAP equipment is still working, of course, then it's still good. But if you never get a notice, the only way to verify is to reach out to the USDA. So like I mentioned, we've been trying out these new emails. We're really hoping they prove to be reliable because the SNAP Retailer Service Center call center is unfortunately not reliable right now. But yes, unfortunately, those are also taking longer. I think the USDA lost about 30% of their employees.
Okay, we also have a question from Brian that I think Debbie is answering. Debbie is our resident FNA expert, or one of them, but I gave her my login, so she's typed a lot of answers as me. But Brian is asking, and she's responding to that one. So I'm going to go to the next one while she handles that. Anonymous asks, how does a farmer who has other staff conducting transactions? Does each person need to have the software on their individual phones? Oh, how does it work for farmers who have other staff conducting their transactions?
I think this question might be about folks using the Total Pay app. And the answer is that you need to have a designated device for the Total Pay app. It can only be on one device at a time, so one subscription per FNS number designated to a device. For farmers markets, we recommend having one setup. You can switch from one device to another, but it is a little bit of a pain. But yeah, generally we recommend just having one device dedicated and not having a bunch of employees have the Total Pay app because it's not possible to switch it without going through the back end, which can kind of be a pain. So long story short, in theory, it is possible, but it's not recommended.
Yeah, Lisa, they can have that. Like, we assign your FNA number to your account, and you can have multiple devices, but as Lisa said, that's a subscription license per device.
Oh, yes,
So,
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah, so without paying for it, I should have said. Yeah.
that's so it is possible, but it's very much a one-to-one thing. And I think that may vary with different, if we're not talking about Total Pay and you're looking at other payment processors, that would be up to them. That would be a question for them. I don't know that we can answer that on their behalf.
Mhm.
Okay, Brian is asking, could we get more information about the list of staple foods? I have no idea what our vendors sell, so there's no way I can verify if 51% of the sales are staple goods.
Yeah, we can include the USDA stocking requirements website as a follow-up email, or if someone is able to Google it real quick and pop it in the chat. But what I wanted to add on the note of farmers market managers on behalf of vendors, the USDA does understand that a farmers market model is unique and that you are not actually the business selling the products, the vendors are. So they understand that whenever you're estimating on your SNAP authorization, that it is your best faith estimate. And it's okay if it's not exact. You don't need to go through each individual vendor's inventory. It's just to give a general idea. And generally, if you have really popular produce vendors selling a lot, you tend to be okay. So I hope that's helpful in not making this seem so intimidating.
All right, we have another question about SNAP eligible items. Maybe we can provide that resource also.
Yeah.
And
So on that note, I wanted to say staple foods are different from SNAP eligible items. Staple foods are what I mentioned earlier, produce, dairy, meat, grains. SNAP eligible foods is basically any food that is to be taken home to feed yourself or your family. So this includes, honey, snack foods. Um, Individual states are implementing waivers that you might have heard about where they are restricting sugary drinks and things like this. But typically this hasn't affected farmers markets much yet. But yeah, so if SNAP eligible items, what can SNAP buy is different from staple foods. It includes the staple foods, but it's more expensive.
thanks, Lisa. Sean has a question. Good afternoon. Can MarketLink Total Pay be customized to introduce a matching benefit for vendor redemption activities, i.e. vendor redeems $20 SNAP, only charge customer $10 SNAP, and cover the rest via Market's attached bank account or records transactions for future reimbursement via reporting?
Heather, are you able to?
I'm here. I'm struggling. I looked at that question. I'm struggling to that's a lot of different things in one sentence.
Yeah, I was
Um
like, this sounds like
yeah,
Tim's
it is.
question, but
It is. So
I'm not
yes,
sure I'm following either.
it's our Tim's add-on to Total Pay can be customized to introduce a matching benefit, first of all. So if the vendor redeems $20, no, it would not only charge the customer $10 at right now. There's two different ways you can do that. You can either give them their incentive and have it match, or you could do that by implementing a coupon somehow and giving them a lesser price. But right now, the way it works is it will match as opposed to giving them a discount and pull from two different bank accounts. That's not, it doesn't work that way. Let's see, only charge by the market's attached bank account or record stream. No, it does not work that way. You would have to give the person a match. It would apply it to the person's mobile wallet that they have an incentive match, and then they later could spend that match elsewhere. And then at that point, it would, pull from the incentive pot when it was spent. If that makes
Yeah,
sense.
Yeah, I think that does make sense. But maybe Sean, if you have more questions, you can always
Yeah,
email us and we can talk it through.
absolutely. We're here for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Anonymous says, WIC does not allow the purchase of organic dairy or produce. How do you deal with this?
WIC is administered on a state level. I have seen some states allow organic produce, at least for the fruit and vegetable benefit, that cash value benefit. So that might be just your state. I'm not sure.
Carol from Chapel Hill Farmers Market um, says she has an active farmers market that is authorized and have designated devices. Our card reader is old and not working great. Can we apply for a new one?
So you can. Oh, go ahead, Lisa. You know this better than me.
Yeah, sounds like yes. And if you're a previous grantee and your card reader is not working, yeah. Since we were just renewed in October 2025, it's likely that you would be eligible for a new reader. So yeah, definitely apply and we can probably replace it.
Maybe we can just drop the link for that in there.
Oh yeah, it's right on the slide too. Marketlink.org is where you would go to apply.
Oh, thank you. I'm like focused on the chat, so I wasn't even
Yeah,
looking at the
no,
slide.
all good, thank you.
Okay. Rebecca asked, do you think markets that aren't majority SNAP eligible will have to split up into two legal entities? Markets that aren't majority.
I'm not sure I understand what is meant
Oh,
by two legal entities.
like one for crafts and one for food. I don't know. I guess I might be guessing here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Hmm. I don't know. Debbie, are you
Yeah.
still here? I guess in theory, you could say produce vendors are the farmer's market, other is the flea market. I think that would get tricky if it's the same time and address,
It is, and that is
especially,
correct. Yeah,
yeah,
they won't allow you to do two separate entities at the same location at the same time.
yeah. But on separate days and separate times, that could
That's a different story.
work.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Chloe says, is it just 51% of all sales of any vendor to meet the threshold or 51% of all SNAP sales meet SNAP
Total sales.
sales?
Total sales.
Thank you for answering those. We've got, oh, Rebecca said, oops, I meant staple foods. But I'm not sure what that relates to. Chloe says we are a combo arts and farmers market, so our split would be very skewed by artists and artisans, understandable. Our seeds for planting and live rooted plants that are edible
Yeah.
SNAP eligible.
Yeah, so
Yes.
plants, seeds and plants that produce food are eligible for a SNAP customer to purchase with their EBT, SNAP EBT funds, but they are not considered a staple food.
Are there any changes to allowed uses of offline vouchers?
Not that we know of. Nope.
Is there a better phone number for Total Pay Go support? I feel like once per season it just stops working and calling the customer service number directs us to email and it's difficult to talk to an actual person.
That number is still the best one, but if you weren't aware, they also have an email address if you want to try both next time.
If farmers at a farmer's market have their own SNAP device, can they also process EBT at their booth along with the market processing their own at a central location?
Yes. Well, I mean,
Mm,
that would be up to your farmer's market
Oh,
manager
yeah.
too. Yeah, I would ask, definitely communicate that, but because depending what other programs they might have running at the market. But I mean, technically, yes.
Yeah, I don't think a farmer's market manager can stop a business from accepting a payment type at their own business.
Yeah.
But
correct.
if you're asking about like SNAP rules, no, there's no rule saying a farmer's market can't accept SNAP at a SNAP approved farmer's market as well.
Okay. Is there an estimated timeline for when Total Pay hardware will be available to process chip-enabled EBT cards? And my understanding is that the hardware already can process it. We just need to turn something on our end, right? You don't need new hardware.
Yep.
It depends. So the newer readers that we are and have been for a while sending out have the capability to accept a chip card. We need to update the Total Pay Go app to make that talk to each other. Unfortunately, there's no timeline right now, but we, yeah, just want to reiterate again that the mag stripe is not going anywhere. So even if your state implements a chip card, they will still have a mag stripe reader, so you can still swipe the card just as you have been.
Thank you. And Rebecca is wondering if they'll start cracking down on criteria B with markets to push those markets to FDM only method.
I sure hope not, but I don't think so. Because criteria B doesn't only affect farms and farmers markets, it also affects bakers, butchers, specialty stores, all fall into that. So it would affect a lot more businesses just to farmers. So I think that would cause quite an uproar. And I just really hope that doesn't happen.
Okay, wow. That was we're at 412. We got 31 answered questions. Appreciate everybody's interaction. Thank you so much for asking those questions and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much, Lisa, for sharing your expertise, and Heather and Debbie, and everyone on the call for doing what you do. And I guess we might have another question. Oh, some great feedback. Thank you so much. Oh, we have another question. Is there legal support for arbitration when it comes to issues with the third-party contractors coming into markets?
Interesting. Not that I know of, but this might be again a question for maybe the FMC listserv or maybe even the farmers market legal toolkit that I mentioned earlier.
That's right. Say.
Yeah. Because we are a USDA funded nonprofit, we usually don't take part in any policy or legal arbitration, but we can recommend reaching out to others and definitely exercising that right if that comes across.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, they said they'll check out the legal kit and provide a little bit more context. Melissa hopped on the call late. Are we sending out? Yes, we will be sending. We can send out the recording and the slides and the resources that have been mentioned, and we'll also post the video on our YouTube. And Sadie also said she will also have it up there, which is great. Any last burning questions? We have 2 minutes. Oh, thank you for the heart. Love that. All right. Well, then I guess we can wrap it up. Thank you all so much. Really do appreciate all that you do, and we're really grateful to have this time to talk about these important topics.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Great job, Lisa.